Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we are going to be building Watch Me. Watch Me is basically apps that's showing the popular movie. As you can see here, this is the final project, and also up here we have the header, we have the hero section, we have the popular movie section, and also the footer down here. And also if I click the contact us here, it's going to be go to /contacts. I'm going to showing you how to create a route. And here if I click the individual card, it's going to be go to movie / the movie ID, and as you can see here, this is really clean. And if I click the watch me this, it's going to directly go to homepage, and yeah, that's all gonna be it. And if I go to page that doesn't access, for example, let's say random path here, as you can see we are 404, and after 3 seconds it's going to be automatically direct into the homepage. Let's do that again. If I go to just a random number here and it's 404, and after 3 seconds we on the homepage. Cool. So this is gonna be responsive, guys. If I open in the mobile, as you can see, this is the iPad. We have 3 columns. And also for the iPhone, here we have 1 column. Alright, so pretty cool. And we're gonna use Next.js for this project, and we're gonna use Tailwind for styling, and for the data we are gonna use the movie database. And also the font here, as you can see, the font here, watch me right here, we are gonna use the Babas New from Google Font, and also this illustration I grabbed from Android right here. So that's what we are gonna be building, guys. So it's gonna be interesting, and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that what we need to do is I'm going to open my terminal, and in here I'm going to go to my documents / my YouTube content, let's say YouTube-content folder, and inside in here I'm going to generate the Next.js application. So let's go to docs here, and we can use npx or yarn. I'm going to use yarn, by the way. So I'm going to copy this and open my terminal again, and I'm going to paste that in here, and the name of the application. So in this case I'm going to say watch me. Let's say watch me. All right, so if I hit enter now, just wait. All right, so finally this is done. Now let's open in the VS Code. I'm going to say code watch me and hit enter. It's going to be open in the folder into VS Code. So in here what I'm going to do, let's say yarn dev to start the development server. So now let's open the localhost 3000, and this is what we have. Okay, this is the Next.js by default. So let's go back to code here. I'm going to make it just bigger. So now let's see the file and folder in Next.js application here. As you can see, inside the pages we have the index. This index is basically all that you see in the browser right now. So what we need to do is remove everything here to make it look simple. I'm going to put h1 and let's say home. Okay, if I save this, it's going to be home right here. And also, as you can see here, we have the underscore app.js. So this is basically our root component. Okay, so this index is rendered inside this component here, and also all the styling is basically inside the style here. This for the global style. It's going to be import into this app.js here, underscore app.js. And also we have the home module.css. This is going to be styling for the index. As you can see here, we have imported up here. Okay, but we're not gonna work with these styles because we are going to use the Tailwind CSS. So let's remove the home model here. We don't need that. Of course, this is also, we need to remove that. Let's remove everything to make it simple. Here we go. So the first thing that what we need to do is we need to set up the Tailwind CSS. We need to install that in here. So let's go to Tailwind CSS, and let's go to documentation here and go to framework guides. Let's click the Next.js here, and we can following all the step here. Let's just copy this one here and paste that in here, and hit enter and wait for that. Alright, so this is done. Now we need to just copy this content here. Now we should have the tailwind.config.js file. Let's see here, and let's paste that in here, the content. Let's save and let's go back and let's copy this into the global CSS. I'm going to remove everything and put that in here. Now save, close, and close this as well, and this app as well. So now what we need to do is let's try. Okay, so let's do in h1 here. I'm going to add the class name set equals to. Let's change the text to XL. I'm going to say text to center and text to let's say bold. It's gonna be font bold, I think. Font bold. All right. So now save and let's take a look. I hope that's work. Where's that? So now refresh and it's not working at all. What happened? So I think we need to restart the server. So let's do yarn dev again. I'm going to close this terminal here. And let's try to refresh. As you can see, this is work now in center and bold. And let's try. Mine XL is really bigger. Cool. Alright guys, so I think this is a work, and what we need to do next, let's work with the home page. So now let's remove this h1 here, and I'm going to create another component. We don't have the component folder, so let's create the components folder, and inside this component I'm gonna say hero.js file. In here let's say rifce and remove the React up here. And also in here, I'm gonna say, let's say hero. All right, so let's go back in index and I'm going to import the hero inside in here. So let's see in the browser, we should have hero. Cool. So now let's styling this hero component here. I'm going to cut that out. And in here, I'm gonna put div. And in here, let's add the class name. I'm going to put everything in the center. So I'm gonna say text center. And I'm going to change the background to white, and also the padding bottom I'm going to say 10. Okay, so inside this div I'm gonna say let's say class name set that equals to, I'm going to set the width into, let's say 60, and make it center, so I'm X auto. Okay, in here I'm going to put the image. We can use image tag like so, or we can use image component from the Next. So let's say image like so. It's gonna be come from the Next/image. All right, and also this image component have a source property, and this is gonna be the file. Let's first download the file here. You can go to Android and just click here and download, but also you can change the color to whatever you want and you can download that. I've already have the image here, so I'm going to grab this and put into the public folder like so. So now let's close this and back to the hero, and in here what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say /hero_cinema.png. all right, so if I save now and let's take a look in here, we get an error because if we use image component we should put the width and height. So here I'm gonna say the width is gonna be let's say 200, and the height let's put 200 as well. All right, so I'm going to save this and let's take a look. Nothing showing up here. What is problem? Let's say hero is gonna be home, not hero. Let's remove this hero, let's say home. All right, let's take a look. This is what we have. Pretty cool. So now I'm gonna add layout in this image. So let's say layout set that equals to, it's gonna be responsive, and down here down the div we have the h1. Okay, and this is gonna be welcome to let's say watch me, and down here I'm gonna say paragraph tag, and let's say produce film future. It's gonna be future, let's say television and game. All right, and down here we have the button tag, and the text is gonna be, let's say, contact us. All right, and let's style in the h1 first. So in h1 I'm gonna say class name set that equals to the text. I'm gonna make it to XL, and I'm gonna say text gray 700. Let's say 700, and also I'm gonna change that to uppercase, and the font, let's say bold. All right, and for the p tag, what I'm gonna do is put a class name, and the text is gonna be gray 500. All right, and for the button, let's do here, I'm gonna add the class name set equals to the background is gonna be gray 700, and the text is gonna be white, and also the padding vertically is gonna be 3, padding horizontally is set to 6, and it's gonna be rounded, and also it's gonna be text small, and I'm going to put margin top to 4. Okay, so now save and let's take a look. As you can see, this is pretty nice, but I have typo here, so let's fix that. It's gonna be feature again, feature, and I think this is gonna be text like that. So now save, and here we go. Cool. In Next.js, if we want to navigate between the road, we can use link. All right, so let's make it bigger. So this button here, I'm going to wrap with link. This link is gonna become from next/link. Okay, so this link here, basically I'm going to put the button up here. So this link basically have a property called ref, like a anchor tag. So in this ref here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to say go to /contact. Okay, so if we click this button, it's going to be go to the /contact. So let's try. If I click this contact us, as you can see, it's going to be go to /contact. But now the contact bit is nothing here. Okay, nothing showing up here. That's why we get 404. So to create a page, we can just simply go to page folder here and create the contact.js file. Okay, and in here I'm gonna say rifce, and I'm gonna say contact us. Okay, just like that. So now when I save, now you will see this contact us. Okay, that's pretty cool, pretty fast. I mean, let's go back here, and if I click contact us here, pretty cool. But now let's styling this a little bit. I'm going to put that into the center, so let's remove this here, and I'm gonna say div, and this is gonna be have a class name called, let's say, text center. Let's say center, and also I'm gonna set the margin top to 20, and inside this div here I have h1. Okay, this h1 is basically have contact us. All right, let's add class here. I'm gonna say class name set equals to the text, make it a little bit bigger for XL, and the font, let's say bold. All right, so save, and something wrong. If I refresh, as you can see, we have contact us right here. All right, so as you can see, if we on the contact us, we cannot back because we don't implement the navbar. So how that we can create a navbar that available to a home page here and also in the contact? So to do that, we need to go to the app_app.js here. So in here, we need to wrap with layout, and let's try to create the layout first. I want to say layout.js file. Let's say rifce and hit enter. Let's remove the React up here, and in here I'm going to return React fragment. Let's say like so, and this layout is basically have the children property. Let's say children. Okay, and I'm going to put the main here and the children inside the main. So let's say children. Okay, so now we need to wrap our app here _app here with layout. So here cut that out, and in here I'm going to render the layout. Okay, and I'm going to wrap this component inside the layout. So basically this will be becoming the children of the layout here. Okay, so now we can put the header in here. We can just say header here. Okay, so now this header will be available to entire our app. So as you can see, in contact us we have header, and in homepage we also have the header. Okay, that's how we create a component that available to entire app. So in here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a header component. So in here, in component, let's add a navbar. Not header, but navbar. Anyway, so let's say navbar. It's going to be uppercase first. Navbar.js file. And in here, I'm going to say rafce, hit enter, and let's remove. And this is going to be like so, and this is div. And let's put a navbar first. Let's say navbar. And I'm going to put the navbar component inside here. So let's say navbar. Alright, so now we should see navbar. Okay, but it's mavbar. I always have a typo, but anyway. So now let's styling this navbar component. Let's remove this div here. I'm going to use nav, and this nav have a class name set that equals to background gray 700, and also inside this nav we have a div, and this div here is basically have a class name set that equals to, I'm going to set the font to bold, and also I want to say text to neutral 100, and also the padding, let's say 4, and the maximal width I'm going to set it to 7xl, and let's make everything in center. So it's going to be mx auto, I think. Yeah, and I'm going to put everything inside a container, and also the tracking is going to be white here, widest, I think. Yeah, letter spacing 0.1 em. Alright, so inside this div here, basically I have link tag. Okay, because if user click the icon watch me is going to be directly go to the home page. Okay, so in here I'm gonna say ref set that equals to / which is the home page. So in here I'm going to put anchor tag. Okay, you don't need the ref here. So inside in here I'm gonna say watch, and here I'm gonna say span, and let's say me. Okay, basically we don't need the space in here. Let's do like so, and let's styling this anchor tag. I'm gonna say class name set equals to, the text is gonna be base, and for the medium I'm going to change the text to, let's say 2xl to make it a little bit bigger. And in span here I'm going to add the class name, and it's gonna be the text red, let's say 600 to make it a red. Okay, if I save and let's take a look, this is what we have. But I need to use the font from Google Font here, so I'm gonna use Babas New, so I can just copy this import here. Okay, and I will go to the global CSS, and I'm going to paste into app here. Next we need to go through the tailwind.config. So inside this theme.extend I'm going to add a font family object. Okay, so in here I'm going to give a name new, or Neue. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I think Neue. And in here I'm going to put this here. Okay, I'm going to copy and paste that in here. It's going to be string as well, like so. Wait, what happened? Like so. So if we want to use this font, we can just go back to navbar, and in here what I'm going to do, I'm going to say font dash new. Okay, so if I save and let's take a look now, as you can see, this is work. That's how we change the font family. If I click this, it's going to be back to the homepage, contact us homepage. Alright, so pretty cool, right? So let's go back here. So next we need to grab the data from the movie database here. The link is going to be the moviedb.org, and you can sign up and go to settings to see your API key. You can go to API here, and this is your API key. Just copy that, and we are gonna create .env file here. Let's say .env. It's gonna be lowercase .env, and in here I'm gonna say API underscore key set that equals to this API key. Okay, so now we can go through the documentation, which is here, developer.themoviedb.org/3. So basically there's a lot of option here. As you can see, we have movie, trending, people, review. I'm going to click the movies, and as you can see, there's a lot of option again in here. We have top rate, upcoming, and I'm going to get the popular basically. So just click the try it out, and I'm going to copy this, and this is basically the, let's go to the index right here. I'm going to put the link here. Okay, and basically I'm going to, let's just close the file that we don't need, navbar and the global. Yeah, so now basically I'm gonna create one folder again, and the folder is gonna be config. So let's say config. Okay, so inside this config I'm gonna create the index.js file. So in here I'm going to export variable called server set that equals to, it's going to be this thing here. Okay, so we can just copy and put that in here. So now we can just save, and let's go back here. So now we need to get the data. Okay, how that we can fetch the data with Next.js from the API. There are a function in Next.js called getStaticProps. So inside of getStaticProps, we can get the data from the API. So let's say export async. It's going to be async await function, and it's going to be a function, and the function name is going to be getStaticProps. Okay, the name should be same. So in here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create variable called let's say movies set that equals to, is going to be array, and I'm going to say name, let's say hello. Okay, so in here I'm going to return, let's say props, and it's going to be object, let's say movie set to movie. Okay, so now we can grab the movie here inside this home component. So I'm going to destructuring the movies here. Okay, and if I console log the movie, let's say movie, we should see the data, which is this array, into the console. Let's inspect, and let's go to console, and as you can see here, we have array with name hello. Okay, that's how we send the data from getStaticProps into this home component. So next I'm going to grab the data from the API. So I'm going to use Axios. Let's install that first. So yarn add Axios. Okay, hit enter and wait for that. Okay, it's done. Now we can simply go to the getStaticProps function here, and I'm going to say const response set that equals to is going to be await for Axios. Okay, just make sure you import from Axios up here, and here I'm going to use backtick, and let's just copy this string here and put that here. And here we need to remove this HTTP here, and we need to grab the server. I believe it's going to come from the config here. Okay, and also we can grab the API key as well here by say process.env.api_key. Okay, which is the variable that we create in env here. Just make sure you have same name. All right, pretty cool. Now we can just remove this, and in here what we can do is I'm gonna say response.data. Okay, we send the data from the API to this movie, and we grab in here and we console log. We should see now the data in the console. So let's try refresh, and we get some error. Alright, so after 1000 years, finally I get the error, and the error is going to be this one here. We don't need this movie basically. So let's remove that. And let's take a look at again. Here we have the result. We have 20 data here. Pretty cool. So now we need to create another component that's showing the popular movie. So in here, I'm going to create the popular movie component. So let's say PopularMovie.js file. So in here, let's generate function pass component. And what I'm going to do is remove this div. And let's say in here, I'm going to say div. So basically, I'm going to add the class name so that equals to the background is going to be gray 700. And also it is going to be container, and the maximal width should be 7xl, and make everything center, so mx auto. Okay, and also the padding bottom, I'm going to set that to 10. Also the padding horizontally, let's set to 4. Alright, so inside in here I have h1, and this is going to be the what's popular. Alright, so let's styling this h1, and I have this class name set that equals to the text is going to be white, and the text, let's say 2xl, and also I'm going to add the margin top basically to 8, and also the margin bottom set that to 5. Okay, and down here, down the h1, I'm going to map through the movie array and render the individual movie. But before that, we need to render the popular movie here, and we need to send the movies that equals to, let's say, movies.results. Okay, because as you can see here, we have the result and we have 20 data here. So we can grab the data in here. Okay, let's destructuring the movies, and in here let's say movies.map. We can map through, we grab the individual movie, and in here we need to render the individual movie inside the MovieCard component. So let's create the MovieCard. So in here I'm gonna say MovieCard.js file. So let's say rfce, and we grab the individual movie like so, and in here let's say div, and I'm going to render the for example, which is movie.title, I believe. Let's see here. Yeah, this title. Alright, so now we need to just save that first. We need to render the movie card here, and we need to send the movie, let's say movie set that equals to movie, and also we need to add the key because we have some error in the console. Let's say key set that equals to movie.id. So now save, and let's take a look in the browser. As you can see, guys, we have a lot of data here. Pretty cool. But I think in index.js here, I like to add the class name here set that equals to, let's say background to gray 700. So if I save, and this is what we have. Alright, so pretty cool. Let's go back to movie popular. But first I'm going to styling the movie card. So let's remove this here. And I'm going to add the class name set that equals to, the background is going to be white. And also I'm going to add the shadow to small, and also it's going to be rounded, let's say medium. And also I'm going to say cursor dash pointer. Okay, so inside in here I'm going to render the image component come from the Next, and image component have a source. Okay, but as you can see in here, this poster path don't have the full URL, as you can see here. So how that we can grab the full URL of the image? So we can go back here, and let's go to get start, I think, and this image here, and yeah, this is the URL that you need to copy and go back here, and you can just put that in here when you backtick like so, and in here we can put the, let's say, movie.poster path. Okay, this poster path we can just put that in here. All right, so in image we need to specify the width and height. So the width is going to be 700 and the height is going to be, I'm gonna say 800. Let's say class name set that equals to, I'm gonna say rounded to top medium. And if I save, let's take a look. In Next.js, if we want to use external image, we need to set up the Next.js config. This here we need to say image, let's say images, and in here we need to add the domains. Okay, in this domain is basically this image.tmdb.org, which is the here. Okay, so now if I refresh, we should see we have this, but we still get an error. So let's try to restart the server. So now let's take a look again. I'm going to refresh. As you can see, we get the image now. Okay, pretty cool, as you can see here. All right, so now let's add some description down here. So here I'm going to put div, and let's add the class name, and this is going to be the px, which is the padding horizontally is going to be 6, and padding vertically I'm going to set that to 2. Okay, so inside this div here, basically I have another div again, and this is going to be the title, which is movie.title. Okay, and let's styling that just a little bit. Say class name set equals to, the font is gonna be bold, and also the text is gonna be text XL, and also the margin bottom I'm gonna set that to 1. Okay, so down here we have the paragraph. Okay, the paragraph is going to be the movie dot, let's say release underscore date. Okay, and let's styling this paragraph. I'm gonna say class name set equals to, the text is gonna be gray 700, and it's gonna be text base, which is 1 rem, the font size, and also margin bottom to 1. So now save, and let's take a look. As you can see, pretty nice. But if I open in, for example, let's say iPad, it's gonna be look like this. Okay, when I open an iPad, I need the movie here have a 3 column. So let's go back to movie popular, and in here I'm going to put a div and just put the movie map inside the div here. Okay, so inside in here, let's say class name, I'm gonna say grid and grid gap, which is just gap, I think. Yeah, gap is gonna be 4, and for the small I'm gonna say grid to, let's say columns to 2, let's say 2, and for the medium I'm gonna say grid columns to, I'm gonna say 3, and for the large and more I want to, the grid column, let's say columns is going to be 5. All right, so if I save, and let's take a look here, we have 3, and if I open in the full size, we have 5. So now let's add link in MovieCard. So in this MovieCard component, I'm going to say link. This link is going to be come from the next/link, and inside this link I'm going to put all this div. All right, so this link is basically have a ref, and it's going to be /movie/ whatever the ID. So I'm going to say movie.id. all right, so if I save now, and as you can see here, let's click this Spider-Man, we on the movie / the Spider-Man ID. If I click the internals, as you can see here, we have different ID. All right, so pretty cool. So now we need to create page that will be handle the detail. So let's go to page here. Let's create folder called movie, and inside this movie I'm gonna create the folder again. It's going to be the ID like so, and inside this ID array I'm gonna say index.js. all right, so in here let's say rfce, and this is going to be movie component. Let's say movie, and I'm going to render the, let's say, movie detail. Okay, so now save, and let's go back here. If I click the Spider-Man, we see movie detail here. Okay, it's pretty cool, movie detail. All right, cool. So now let's work with the movie detail component here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to get the data from the detail movie. Is going to be, let's say, movies, and this get detail here. Okay, this API here. All right, so we get a /movie / the movie ID. So now we can just copy the index here, which is the getStaticProps. We can copy and put that here like so, but we don't need popular in this case. We need to grab the ID here. Okay, so we need to get the whatever the ID. So for example, I want to click this and just copy this ID and put the ID in this here. Okay, and also this is going to be just individual movies, so we grab the movie like so. And yeah, now we can grab the movie, and also I'm going to console log the movie. Okay, so now let's save and let's take a look. I'm going to refresh, and as you can see, getStaticPath is required for dynamic SSG. So we need to use the getStaticPath in this here. Okay, so down here, so let's say export. This is going to be async function, and the function name is going to be getStaticPaths. Okay, and inside this getStaticPath is going to be really similar like getStaticProps. So we can just copy and paste that in here, and instead of ID we need to grab all the popular. So of course we need to say movies because we grab all the movies in this case. So I'm gonna grab the response.data.results. Okay, so in here we need to returning path. Okay, so the path is should have array. So the path, say the path is should have array with params. Okay, and this is should be have ID, and whatever the ID of the movie come from this popular. Okay, it should be like this one here. Okay, the format should be like this. So how do we create array with object like this? Really simple. So in here I want to say cons IDs, and I'm going to map through all the movies. So let's say movie.map. I'm going to grab all the individual movie, and also I'm going to return the movie.id. Okay, so now we get array with all the ID inside the IDs here. Okay, so down here we can say cons path that equals to, I'm going to say IDs.map. I'm going to map all the IDs, and in here I have the individual ID, and I'm going to returning object. So the object is going to be like this. Okay, we can just copy and paste that in here, and the ID is going to be ID. Okay, and the ID is going to be string, so we need to say ID to string like so. Really simple. So now we can just remove this. In here we need to set the fallback to, let's say, false. Okay, so now save, and let's take a look, guys. And I refresh. Axios is not defined. Yeah, that's because we don't import. So let's import the Axios, come from Axios, and save the server, of course. And yeah, and that's it. So now we can save, and when I refresh we still get the movie detail here. But if I open the console, as you can see, we get the detail. But this is work just for the ID here. Okay, the ID here. Okay, so now we need to grab this ID and send the ID come from getStaticPath to getStaticProps right here, and we need to render the ID in here. Okay, so how that we can grab the ID? So really simple. Basically in here we can grab the context. Okay, So this context is basically we can grab the ID inside here. Okay, we can say const ID set it equals to context.params. Okay, these params come from here. We need to grab the ID. This is here. Okay, so now we need to send this ID into this here. Okay, let's remove that and put the ID here. All right, so now is going to be work, and I'm going to render the movie detail so we can see. Let's say movie.detail, not detail, title. I think let's say title. Okay, so now save, and we have the Spider-Man. If I go back and click the Encanto, if I click that, we have Encanto. Pretty cool, guys. So now let's styling the movie detail here. I'm going to remove this and like so. Let's say div here, and I'm going to add the class name set equals to. I'm going to put everything inside a container, and the maximal width is going to be 7XL, not 7XL for this case. I'm going to say 4XL, and for the MX I'm going to set it to auto. Let's set the padding top to 6. All right, so inside in here, let's say div again. And in here, I'm going to add the class name, set it equals to px, set it to 3, just the padding horizontally. So in here, I'm going to render the image. The image is going to become from next/image, and the image have a source. And in here, we need to paste in the HTTP come from the, what is that? Right here, we have this get started image. And basically, I'm going to grab the original here. So let's grab this link, original. I'm gonna copy and back to here. I'm gonna paste that in here. And let's put the movie dot this backdrop path here. I'm gonna copy and render in here. So in image component, we should specify the width and height. So the width, I'm gonna set that to 1000, and the height, I'm gonna set that to 600. Okay, and I'm going to add the class name, set that equals to the rounded. I'm gonna set that to medium. Okay, so now save, and let's take a look. I'm gonna click, and so we have pretty nice. So next, let's showing the title and the overview. So let's go back here, and in here I'm gonna say h1, and this is going to be movie.title. All right, so down here we have p tag, and this is going to be movie.overview. Okay, and let's styling this h1 first. So I want to say class name set equals to, the font is going to be bold, the text I'm going to set that to XL, and also the margin vertically I'm going to set that to, let's say 2. Okay, so in this paragraph, in this overview, I'm going to set that the class name set equals to, the text I'm going to set that to gray 600, and the text, let's say small, and also the margin top I'm going to set that to 4. All right, so down here we also have another paragraph, and this is going to be the genre. Okay, genres. So this genre is basically array, as you can see right here. This is array, so we need to map through. So I'm gonna say span here, and inside the span I'm gonna say movie.genres.map. I'm going to grab individual genre, and I'm going to return, it's gonna be dot here, not comma, like so. I'm gonna grab the genre dot name, okay, and I'm going to say dot join with comma. All right, now if I save, we should see this thing here. Okay, pretty nice. And down here we also have the paragraph tag, and I'm going to render the release date. Okay, so here I'm going to put span again, and this is going to be the movie.release_date. All right, now save, and let's take a look. Pretty nice. Now let's add some styling. So in the genre here, I'm gonna add the class name set equals to, I'm gonna add the margin top to 5, let's say text gray 600, and I'm gonna say the text to small. All right, and in the span here, okay, I'm going to add the class name and let's make it bold. So I want to say font bold, save. And down here we need to add the class name, set that equals to the text. I'm gonna set that to gray 600, and text, let's say small. Okay, and the span, of course, I need to say font bold, so let's say font bold. So now save, and let's take a look. As you can see, really nice. So now let's close the console here, and as you can see, nice. If I go to watch me, the homepage, really cool. I click this, as you can see, really nice. So now, as you can see up here, we have localhost 3000. I need to change this, the title. So we need to create meta component here. So I'm gonna say meta.js file. So this is going to be functional paths component. And in here, what we need to do, remove that, and in here I'm going to render the height component come from the next/height, and in here I'm going to pass through my meta. Okay, it's pretty simple here, and I'm going to grab the keyword, let's say keyword description, and also the title. Okay, so now I'm going to set the default props for this meta component. So I can say meta.default props set that equals to, it's gonna be object. Let's say title is going to be, let's say watch me, and keywords is going to be, let's say movie app and free movies, and also let's say popular movies. All right, and for the description I'm gonna say watch movie for free. Okay, so now save, and we need to render this meta component into the layout. So in here I'm gonna say meta. All right, now if I save, as you can see, we have watch me here, really cool. But I need to, when I go to contact us, the title is going to be contact us, and when I go to the detail of the movie, I need to, the title is going to be this movie title. So how do we achieve that? Really simple. So let's go to the contact first. So in contact here, what we need to do is we need to import the meta like so, and we need to set the title into whatever we want. So in this case I want to say contact us. All right, so if I save, now let's refresh what happened, and if I go to contact us, as you can see here we have contact us, pretty cool. And also in the, maybe we can just copy, I'm going to go to this detail movie here, and in here I'm going to render the meta. So we need to change the title into, I'm gonna set that to movie.title. So now save, and now as you can see, now if I click Spider-Man, now we should see this is Spider-Man, really nice. So next, if I go to the page that doesn't exist, so for example this one here, we get 404. Now I'm going to showing you how to create 404 custom in Next.js. So in pages here, we can just simply create file called 404.js file. Alright, so in here, let's say rrfce, and we can change the component name is gonna be found. Let's say found, not found, not found. Okay, so in here I just want to paste my final code. Let's paste that in here. This is just really simple basically, and I'm going to import the link come from the next/link, and if I save, and as you can see we have beautiful page not found here. If I click go home, it's going to be go home here. Okay, so now if I go to the wrong page that doesn't exist, I want to, after maybe 5 seconds, it's going to be redirect into the home page. So how do we do that? So in here we can just simply use useEffect. So let's say useEffects come from React, and in here let's say arrow function. So inside this useEffect, I'm going to create a variable called timer, set that equals to set timeout, and this set timeout is basically a function, and I'm going to run this timer maybe 5000 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds. And inside in here, what I'm gonna do is I want to say first router, which is variable called router, set that equals to is going to be use router, come from next/router. And inside this timer here, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say router dot push. I'm going to push into /, which is home page. Okay, and down here I'm going to clear the timeout. So I'm gonna say return, let's say clear the timeout. Okay, like so, and I'm going to paste the timer. So now after 5 seconds it's going to be redirect into the home page, as you can see here. If I go to the page that doesn't exist, so let's go random something here. If I click enter, and after 5 seconds, come on, bam. All right, pretty cool. So next we need to create the footer, just simple footer. So I'm going to close everything. Okay, and inside the components I'm going to add the file called footer.js file, and in here let's say rfce, and let's remove the React up there and go to layout, and down here we need to render the footer. Let's say footer. Okay, so now when I save, we should see footer in down here. Let's say footer first. Let's say footer. Okay, so now we should see footer right here. Okay, cool. So let's styling test a little bit. So let's remove this, and I'm going to put the div here, and let's add the class name. The text is going to be in the center, and hey, let's say 32. I'm going to set the flex and item flex item to center, and justify content to center as well, to make it the text in the center. So in here I have paragraph text, and I'm going to add the class name, set that equals to, the text is going to be XL, and the text color is going to be gray 800. And in here I'm going to let's say the copyright icon, and I'm going to say copyright, and I'm going to say 2022, and in here I'm going to say span tag, and let's say chandev. All right, and in this span I'm going to add the class name, and this class name is going to be font bold. Okay, so now if I save and let's take a look down here, we have really nice. Okay, if I go to contact us, we get this really nice. But one again I'm going to change is the contact, because this is lowercase. I'm going to change that to first uppercase. All right, so now save, and oh come on, reload, and bam. Okay, yeah, I think we're done guys with this project, and really nice. You can just clone in my GitHub. Just don't forget to give a star. Alright, so I think that's it for this video. Thank you so much guys for watching, and see ya.